What's going on, everyone? So, when Victor and Henry entered the tunnels to go and retrieve Jasper, there was a kind of bigger, stockier, kind of husky type of man, monster, in the corner that eventually woke up, stand up. And a lot of people really seem to believe that that was Christopher. And look, it's very possible. And one very interesting element to it is you see one moment Jasper sitting in a chair right next to the monster, the gentleman, and next scene you see that he's standing up and Jasper is gone. He's not there. He was at the table where Victor ends up grabbing him. Little detail that really goes unnoticed. And again, kind of adds further fuel to what if that is Christopher, right? Is it possible? Because we don't know yet what happened to Christopher. We know that he was talking to Jasper before he kind of lost his marbles a little bit. He was this happy-go-lucky guy, that made everybody laugh, and then the laughter kind of stopped, and he became dark, and he didn't make people laugh anymore, and kind of became this monster in a lot of ways. And originally was led to believe that he was the one that created the massacre, but when we got the flashback scene, they were all torn to shred by a monster, right? Now, we don't know how long the monsters have existed. We don't know if they were there before Victor. We don't know if Victor, were created around the time that Victor, right? Because Victor was a young child growing up. And if monsters were hunting him every night, do you think it's a little odd that he was able to just survive for 40 years, right? And I've made video on how Victor could potentially be untouchable. He did become best friends with the boy in white, and the boy in white could have, maybe told everyone like, hey, you need to leave him alone. He's off limits. I did a whole video on it, multiple theories, ideas. Go check out that video after this one. But what if Christopher was the first monster? What if he was the one that changed and transformed and, kind of went through this transformation and this metamorphosis, similar to what we're seeing with Fatima and what's going on with Fatima, right? Like, as far as we know, she's not pregnant. Could it be, an invisible baby, invisible child, kind of like how Boyd had the worms? Possibly, right? Like we've heard even the characters themselves talk about that. But when you see all of the bodies lying around and they're all torn up like the monsters do, was it just everyone just stood there and all like a handful of monsters just shredded through everybody while they all stood around? Or was it something where none of them were able to run or they weren't aware, right? What if Christopher did become the first monster and they were just completely oblivious to him being a monster and he's just kind of shredding through everybody, right? Like there's a lot of questions still left to be answered when you talk about just that night and what happened and how everything unfolded. And in particular, what happened to Christopher after, right? Did he die? Did he get eaten himself? Did he turn into a monster? Is he still alive? Is he living in the tunnels? Is he living somewhere else? Is he in hiding? I mean, he'd be, 70 or 80, something like that, but it doesn't mean that he's not alive, right? Did he become immortal? Did he get out and escape, right? Like, did, FROMVILLE, maybe they just were like, hey, you know what? Like, you did us a service, did us a solid, right? Well, you're free to go. We have no idea what happened to Christopher. Now, as far as the monster in the cave that we saw that a lot of people think is Christopher, I don't necessarily buy it. Again, I'm not going to completely rule it out because we don't know for certain. Obviously, I say it all the time. When you're talking about the show, it's designed to be a mystery and make you question and wonder. However, the gentleman that we see in that cave kind of looks like some of the ones that we have seen before, has similar outfit designs, right? The kind of bigger, huskier type of guy. Now, you could argue compared to the picture that we see on screen that it's a different one. It very well could be. But also they're all kind of slanted down, right? Like you see, like it's like they're almost like at different scales. So could just be kind of the perception based on how they're all standing next to each other, because that one seemed a lot bigger and taller, right? Kind of similar husk to the one that I just circled here that you see, but also yeah, from a distance, camera angles, the way that they're standing, right? There's a lot of things that you kind of tie into to justify that. Again, I don't completely rule it out. We, from the autopsy that we got from Christy, she relayed that they were human once. And then when Colony House got attacked in season 1, the one that convinced the guy to open up the window, she even said, I didn't choose to be this way. It wasn't planned, right? Like, she very likely gave us confirmation now twice through that dialogue as well as the autopsy that they were indeed once human and then became these monsters. And you can see Fatima kind of going through some changes that kind of leads you to believe a little bit that she's going through that transfer. It's either her or there really is a baby inside of her. We're just not privy to it yet, right? It just is not showing up on the ultrasound, which, given this place, that's a very real and likely possibility. But I do think the idea of Christopher potentially being the first monster, or even if he's not the first monster, maybe he just turned into a monster himself after, right? And or possible he became Jasper. What if whenever Victor is finally able to get through to Jasper, what if it's Christopher that's inhabiting the body, right? But I like the idea of like Christopher being this sort of king of the monsters, right? I really like the idea of Christopher, us getting a point, whether it's a character finding and stumbling across it, or the Christopher as like the main honcho monster ends up revealing himself and showing up. Like, I think that would be a cool kind of way to introduce Christopher, right? It's like, oh yeah, like I was this happy, lovable guy that, everyone wanted to be around and kept everyone happy, and it was all smiles and all sunshine and rainbows. And then I became the biggest monster of them all, right? Like, full transformation. And Christopher is now the big honcho of monsters, and maybe even responsible for all these other ones transforming, right? And maybe even responsible for all these ones. What if, like that's where the worm blood comes from and stuff like that. I mean, there's a million ways that you could tie it in, but Christopher went dark side at some point. Christopher got manipulated and controlled and kind of conformed in this FROMVILLE, and so it makes sense that you might see that transformation from him into full-fledged monster. It's like, here I am, and I don't know, I think it would be a cool kind of storyline for him as a character, and then maybe we get to see him and get introduced to him, and it's like he's this, like, what if he can run, right? Like, they never run, but like, what if he can? Because again, like, you had an entire town just get shredded through, and no one ran, no one did, especially when the monsters just walk. But like, what if he's one that can run and can move faster, or they can like maybe teleport or something, like, I don't know, something crazy, right? It's what this show's all about. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you like the idea of Christopher kind of being the first monster, going through the transformation, maybe even help create the other monsters? Do you think, keep him dead, let him die, whatever? He's not necessary, and you don't need to necessarily go in that direction. Like, just, keep it simple and just say, hey, after that night, that was it. He was done. And, fast forward X amount of years, and now Jade is the new version of Christopher. Again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. We enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.